duck fat fries. How do those resonate with you, Mark?
Very ducky and fetty. Welcome back to the Happy Hour, guys. I am Mark Aldrich.
I am Jimmy Ludwig.
We are in Waterbury, Vermont.
Vermonters love to produce things, and they like to be artisan about what they do, which is why it's so great to be right smack dab in the middle of it.
Last time we were here, this was a whole other place. But then Hurricane Irene came along and changed a lot of people's lives.
That's right. When we were here before, you might remember, this was the Alchemist Brew Pub.
Yes.
Now, it is the Prohibition Pig.
They do smoked meat here and smoked beer. And I'm just going to keep getting up on my tiptoes.
But I believe there's no smoking inside.
No, there isn't. Because it's Vermont.
It's ironic, really. This time of year, there's a crispness in the air. You can smell people's fires in the fireplace. The leaves are falling. It really is sort of the quintessential time of year to be in Vermont.
It's a great time to be in New England. It's a great time to be at the Prohibition Pig. We're going to check out this new menu. We're going to check out one of the most amazingly stocked bars we've ever seen. Keep calm and drink whiskey. That's what they say. And we're going to do it.
Because it's our job.
Research! So we have Jeff Bauman here, who is the bar manager here at the Prohibition Pig. Is that correct?
Correct.
Well, what's the philosophy here behind this place?
The idea was something that Chad had come up with, maybe 3 or 4 years ago he was working on it, and it was originally going to be Eastern North Carolina barbecue, because he has a long history. He lived there for over 20 years. Paired with, we were really getting into the classic cocktail movement, so spirits, and we thought that Vermont needed something to kind of push the whole classic cocktail and more spirit knowledge. So that was kind of originally the plan. But when the Alchemist space came about, this space, it had such a rich beer history, we kind of went with more of a beer focus. As you can see, our taps, 24 taps are kind of the focus, and we have a lot of great Vermont beer. So we still do the cocktails, and we still love that and push that, but it kind of became a little bit more of a beer and cocktail, and then the barbecue.
Give us an idea of what we might see later on this evening.
We might send out our Kraft mac and cheese, play on words, because it's all local Kraft cheese. We use the Cabot cloth Mount Cheddar, which is delicious and very sharp. And we'll send out our chicken and biscuits, which has local raw honey from the guys that do Caledonia Spirits up in Hardwick.
Amazing. We've got we've got chicken and biscuits. We've got chicken pot pie. We've got probably the most amazing mac and cheese I've ever seen. Duck fat fries. Well, that's pulled pork?
Pulled pork.
Yeah, what is this right here? Look at like a beet salad, maybe?
It's a beet and something salad.
I can't believe I can still speak because of the salivation that's happening. And you source a lot of your food locally, is that correct?
As much as we can.
Yeah. What about the spirits?
The Vermont spirits scene is still kind of growing. Yep. There are people that have been doing it for quite a long time. And we support the ones that we really like and are always looking for new ones. But really, with spirits, it's kind of whatever we can get our hands on. And we're really huge into whiskey. And the other thing that we really love, basically this whole right half of the bar is a lot of Italian herbal liqueurs and things like that. Vermouths and Amari and things like that. We love working with those. So we try to get our hands on as much as that.
We saw you guys do flights of vermouth.
Yes.
I've never seen that before.
We drink vermouth straight. We love it. And people used to drink it straight. They just forgot and think it only goes in Manhattans and Martinis. But in reality, it's almost like a little pre-mixed cocktail.
Whether it's a spirit that has fruit added to it, or they take some of the maceration from the wine process and fortify that, or they do a quinquina that has from the quinine root, like the beer that we have, and we do a lot of cocktails with it. The beer sour, you guys should try before you leave. It's awesome. There's sweet vermouth, there's dry vermouth, and within that, there's a huge range of flavors. You can have a bitter sweet vermouth, you can have a bitter dry vermouth. Carpano Antica is kind of the house favorite. It's a great drink at the end of a meal. It is soothing and just delightful, and kind of brings you back to an old-timey kind of bar scene. It's nice.
So the story behind Prohibition Pig, the name of the place, is all the cocktails. We want to focus on pre-Prohibition style cocktails, and ties in with the smoked meats, and that's where the pig comes from.
I mean, the name alone, Prohibition Pig, sort of harkens back to a different era. So if you could talk to us about a couple of maybe signature cocktails that you're working on or that you feature that would bring today's patrons back into that day of back in the Prohibition.
Well, the one cocktail, we have a couple, but the one that has not left our menu since we opened is the Waterbury Old Fashioned. And the Old Fashioned is the original cocktail back from the early 1800s. So we basically, our take on that is trying to take away that whole in the 60s, 70s, 80s when it just became a muddled mess and tried to kind of make it more lean and just make it what it was, which is spirit, bitters, water, sugar. We use some lemon and orange oils just to get a little bit of aromatics, but it's a pretty straightforward drink and it gets ordered time and time again, and it's kind of become our signature cocktail. The penicillin is another cocktail that is not ours, that belongs to a man named Sam Ross. But that one has not left the menu either, and people love that. So, are there
some Vermont distilleries that we should be on the lookout for, or that are on the rise, in your opinion?
We are huge fans of Caledonia Spirits. Their gin, I think, is maybe the best product coming out of the state. A lot of people love the Whistle Pig, which is excellent, very highly rated. I am a huge fan of Dunk's Mill, Duncan, who runs Dunk's Mill. He's doing only rum. He's kind of been doing it longer than anybody currently, and a lot of people have learned from him and started their own distilleries. And we try to work with his rum as much as possible. And Smuggler's Notch, Jeremy at Smuggler's Notch is doing some really cool stuff. His bourbon is his newest product, which is very good.
It's a pretty exciting time to be in the cocktail movement.
It is, it's fun.
And the craft beer movement. You guys sort of have the best of both worlds.
We do.
There's one other thing I wanted to mention while we were here. It's a really wonderful thing. You might call it closing the circle, but as this used to be the Alchemist, and then once the tragedy happened with Hurricane Irene, they reconditioned this place, and then it was taken over by Prohibition Pig. But John and Jen over at the Alchemist were still the owners of this place. And just 5 days ago, something kind of special and cool happened, and maybe you can tell us about that.
Yeah, Chad would probably be able to speak much more in depth about it, but he essentially...
Like he's at the World Series.
He's at the World Series, exactly. Bastard. He closed on the building, so he is now the owner of this space, which is this and the upstairs, which includes an apartment and a couple apartments and an event space that we're gonna use for like doing various types of events.
So obviously the Prohibition Pig is a great experience on so many different levels. Local craft, local foods, it's amazing. But one of the things we really enjoyed the most? Talking to the staff. These are some really fun people.
So tell us a little bit about how you ended up here at Prohibition Pig. What's your background?
Well, I grew up in Vermont. I'm from Stowe, and I started working in a restaurant when I was 13. I poured creamies at a place called the Rusty Nail in Stowe, and I have now held every single job that this industry has to offer. Everything from creamy girl to general manager. So when the position opened up here, I miss bartending so much. I miss the interaction that I get to have with people and the community you get to create. And so when they hired me, it was the best move ever.
Is Creamy Girl an actual line on your resume? We're finally getting back to some habits with drinking, with cocktails, with the bar scene that I think we got away from for probably like the last 80 years since Prohibition, really.
Yeah, and I think that, the 80s did not do a lot, not that I remember it, but but from what I've read and learned about everything is, like the singles bar scene and like TGI Fridays and, and putting, the martinis, anything that you can make a shot out of and then put in a martini glass became a martini, and it's not that, that we're not trying to express that culture here anymore. We want to bring it back to what cocktails were meant to be. And, like a proper cocktail and, and in a proper size, too. People, it's not the 10-ounce martini that everyone thinks they're going to get. It's a proper 3-ounce drink that you should sip slowly with some water and fully enjoy and really appreciate the time and the craftsmanship that goes into making it.
You've made some fans in a very short amount of time. You've made some fans in us here today. Do you have anything, Jimmy?
No.
I hate when he does that. You're really getting a taste of Vermont when you come in here. This is fantastic food.
You can literally pair Vermont beers, some Vermont craft spirits, and some amazing locally sourced Vermont food here at the Prohibition Pig. You got to come and check this place out. We're gonna eat now, so turn up the camera.
Is it on? Is it on? Is it on? I'm clear as can be. This is the clearest I'll be all night. Trust me.